Welcome to Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the podcast that gives you an unfiltered, behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like being a woman in the middle who's over 50 and following her entrepreneurial dreams. Grab a superhero cape, girlfriend, because you deserve one. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach and Midlife Mentor, Suzy Rosenstein, and I am excited to inspire you with interviews that feature all of this midlife amazingness. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to the show. We have another really exciting interview ahead of us about owning a decorative painting company, creating multiple streams of income, and being a business coach. Today, you'll be meeting Cheryl Phan, a woman in the middle entrepreneur who teaches women how to turn their hobby into an online business. Welcome to the show, Cheryl. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so honored.
We're going to have a really great conversation today about your midlife entrepreneurial story, really. We're going to be talking about your business, what's going really well, and also what midlife issues might be getting in your way to some extent and are challenging for you in your life, as well as being a business owner. So I like to get these interviews going by really just asking you about how you got started. So how old you are, how long you've been an entrepreneur, what your story has been like getting to where you are now, and what it is that you do in the world. So take it away.
Okay, well, I am 65 years old, and I've been in business for, I guess, a little over 20 years now. And I'm going to say my journey actually started way back. Little did I realize it started probably back when my kids were little. I was a stay-at-home mom. I owned a little business then. I used to manufacture, design, and wholesale swimwear. And I let that business go because I was going through a divorce. And I realized I needed a job, but I couldn't get anyone to hire me. So at 36 years old, I went to college to get a mass communications degree because I just felt like that was the thing that I had to do to be a responsible parent, to go get a job and not work on my own business because I wasn't sure, if I was going to make enough money to, support two kids. So I went and got the mass communication degree, and it literally took me 2 years to get a job in radio. So one day it was so funny because I was driving down the road and I see this homeless guy holding up a sign. And I thought, I had this aha moment. And I thought, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a sign and I'm going to send it to the radio station. So I got a piece of cardboard. I cut it into an 8.5 by 11, put my resume on one side, got a black marker and wrote on the other side, "Will work for food." And I sent that to the radio station's general manager. So, I was thinking, okay, maybe they're looking for creative people, and it actually worked. So they called me up and they asked me to come in for an interview. So I did. And I got an interview with her. And then I got an interview with the the GSM, General Sales Manager, and the local sales manager. So after the interview, I still wasn't sure if I'm going to get this job or not. And I really needed it so bad. So I ended up sending, how you send back in the day, this is how we did it anyway. We would send a letter and say, "Thank you so much for the interview."
Yeah.
What I did was I went to Payless because I couldn't afford an expensive pair of shoes. So I bought a pair of shoes and I sent the general manager one shoe. And I said, now that I have one foot in the door, I would love to join the team.
You're kidding me. This is too much. I am giddy over here. This is a great story.
Then the general sales manager, when I was in his office having an interview, I noticed that he played golf because he had all his golf stuff all over the place. So I sent him a golf ball. And at the time I was actually taking golf lessons. And I said to him, as my golf pro would say, I would rather teach someone new at the game than to break someone with bad habits. And I assure you, I have no bad habits. And then the local sales manager, when I asked him, why the job was available, he said to me that a guy prior to quit and put the key under his door. So I mailed him a key and I said, "This is the key that opens up, unlocks the door to opportunity. I'd love to be part of your sales team," or something like that. Anyway, I got the job and I was so excited. I didn't even ask how much I was going to get paid. I didn't care how much I was going to get paid. I just wanted this job. So they hired me for $25,000 a year. And I was like, oh my gosh, I took it because I was just so, excited. Right. And so now I'm in this job, and within not even a week into the job, I had someone come up to me, one of my coworkers, and she says to me, "Don't you think you're a little too old to be doing this?" That was my first experience of, discrimination. I didn't even understand it because I'd never been in a job before. So anyway, I get through it. I build a job. I'm going along with it. I just go back to my desk, don't pay attention. And I start building up this business. And the next thing I know, a year and a half later, I'm now applying for another job over in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I was excited because this is going to be a management position where I'm going to be training salespeople how to do what they call NTR, non-traditional revenue, which honestly, between me, you, and the lamppost, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I kind of BS'd my way through that job and I got it. Now I had to figure it out. So then I did. So within 2 years, I'm, working with all these big corporations, doing my thing. Next thing I know, Fox Corporate is calling me, want me to come work for them to do the same thing. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, how did this happen so quick? And I really didn't want to take the job at Fox. I really didn't. I kept turning them down. They kept giving me new offers. And finally, after a $30,000 a year pay raise, guaranteed, which never happens in that industry. And I said, I wanted commissions. I want my own office. I want this, that, and the other. And they kept giving it to me. So I took the job. So this turned out really great. And I'm working for this Fox Corporate and it's awesome. And I'm getting to go to all these plays. I'm getting box seats. I'm sitting in VIP. I'm getting all the, all the bells and whistles that come with, media. So, and this would be anyone's dream job. And it was my dream job for a while until it wasn't.
Right.
I found myself working 60 plus hours a week.
How old were your kids then?
My kids had already graduated high school by then. So, one was out of the house, one was still in the house. And so I'm just kind of going along with this. And then the other one actually left. So I was all alone at that point. And it was really great. I did take the job. It was fun. But then I realized I am working 60 plus hours a week. I'm only getting 2 weeks vacation every year. And you have to ask permission to take those 2 weeks off and see if anyone, you know what I mean? And I just thought, I just can't do this anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore. So I literally quit my job.
Really? Did you have a plan?
No.
I love stories like this.
I had a 0B plan, which is dumb of me to do. And I get it. And I would never suggest anyone do that. But I know that, I can, find something to do. So I just decided I'm going to quit. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to do full finishing and decorative painting because that's what I love to do. I've always loved to paint. The first room I ever painted was my daughter's nursery 42 years ago. And remember back in those days, Winnie the Pooh was the big thing. And
yes.
You get Sears and Roebuck. I mean, really aging myself right now, dating myself.
We love age around here, Cheryl. Don't you worry.
Yeah. So I'm looking back on this going, Sears and Roebuck, I don't even think they call it that anymore. But I ended up painting her entire room and Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore, and Tigger the Tiger, like big, life-size characters. So I always loved to paint. So I decided I'm going to start this business. So I start the business. And I realized I don't know a thing about faux finishing. Not a thing. I didn't even know what glaze was. I didn't know the difference between latex paint and oil-based paint. And I was in a mess. So I had to go take a class, but I also didn't have the money. So I had to borrow $800 from a friend. I took this faux finish class. So I took the class and I learned like 10 different samples. That's all I had. And of course, I'm just painting on a sample board, not like a wall. So I really had no experience really doing this. So for anyone out there listening, and I painted your walls 25 years ago and I really messed it up. I'm so sorry. I apologize. And I will come back and fix it if you just give me a call because I know that I messed up a lot of work back then. But anyway, it ended up I still have the business. I've been doing this for over 20 years now. And it was great because, I'm just working here in Palm Beach County in my little area. And one thing I started to realize though was in this business, it's a service-based business. So you only can make money from your surrounding area. So when the snowbirds, we call them snowbirds, when they go home, our business is really slow here. So I had to figure out some ways to generate additional revenue in this business because if I didn't, I'd have to go back to corporate. And that was the last thing I ever wanted to do. So I started looking into other ways that I can generate revenue in the business without having to reinvent the wheel or start all over. So I started playing around with some ideas and I was at a client's house one day and I'm painting their garage door. And they're paying me to do it. And I had this light bulb moment. I'm going, hey, what if I made like a video of myself doing the door and I could just tell people what I'm doing. And then I could sell that video on my website. Oh yeah, I need a website. Oh crap. So I went and got a website, got that all up. And then I went and started making videos. And that was my first revenue stream. Then I started doing affiliate marketing. Then I wrote an ebook and put it up on Amazon and all these different things I was doing. And then social media came into play. And then I joined, I got on Facebook and then Instagram. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just trying to figure it out and fumbling around. And I finally figured it out. And as I'm growing and my business is growing and all my followers are coming in, my friends and then other faux finishers are saying, how did you do that? Like, can you show me? So then I ended up starting teaching them how to do some of these things and realized that I couldn't just keep doing one-on-ones because I don't have enough time in a day. So I started a group teaching people how to, take their hobby and just turn it into a business. And then I ended up making courses to teach people, the bigger scheme things. And that's just how it just kind of blew up. It just kind of evolved over time just by doing the thing, So now,
you know what? You're making me smile so hard because you're really the queen of B- work. So many of us are too afraid to get started and we're perfectionists. And you were not afraid to get started and you weren't afraid of it not being perfect and you not having like 10,000 hours for everything you tried.
Yeah, it's people say, well, how do you do all these things? I say I did it over time, first of all.
Yes.
And I think the three things that hold most women back from starting their dream business is just the fear of social media and technology.
Yes, for sure.
And just not knowing where to start. They're like, I don't even know what to do. I don't have a hobby. But really, if you think about it, everybody was born with God-given talent. Everybody. If you could just think back to some things that you did, back in your earlier days, think back to things that, a hobby that you had, or maybe it could be just something that brings you joy.
Oh my gosh, I have a whole focus on that. And I help women think back in a bit of a structure to think back to all the things that brought them joy or that they were interested in or they would get lost doing. And the women in my community are finding all kinds of things that they totally forgot that they loved. Like I had one client that remembered how much horses were a part of her childhood and somebody else who remembered it was dogs and somebody else it was knitting. And even with me, when I created that worksheet and that handbook, I was remembering how much I loved making mud pies. And it's not that I want to make a living making mud pies, but there was something about working with my hands that I'd completely forgotten about. So yes, you are so right. I think there's something that goes awry when it comes to using the word passion. I think it throws people. It sounds too big. It sounds too scary, right? There's something. So I like try to sneak attack, and you're doing the same thing. A hobby is less scary. The word hobby doesn't throw you as much as passion, I find. Would you agree?
Yeah, you think just because I like it doesn't mean I'm passionate about it. You're not passionate about it. You just like doing it. You could even take your current job or a job you had in the past that you could turn your skills and all the experience and knowledge that you gained in that job and turn that into a business as well. And so many people have done that. I've got a friend, who was a realtor for 25 years and she just didn't want to do real estate anymore, but she knew so much. I said, why don't you start a group teaching all these new people how to buy and sell homes, because they don't teach you that in real estate school. And she's got all that experience that she can bring with her. So she started doing that online and she's doing amazing. It's just think about something that you love to do. Something that brings
I think that's so cool that what you're doing, it's not that you're teaching people how to have a painting business necessarily, but it's any hobby. So you've figured out some kind of a template, it sounds like.
Yeah. So when I started my full finishing business, I actually did have a membership course where a membership thing, like, how you pay $27 a month, $47 a month. So I was charging $27 a month and I was actually teaching people how to paint furniture inside of a Facebook group. So that was something I was teaching back then, but I realized not everybody wanted to do painting, but everybody has a hobby of some sort. You may like macrame. Maybe you got really good at organizing your home, because you were home with 6 kids and they were always making a mess and you figured out a way to keep the house clean. That could turn into something. You could teach other people how to do that. Maybe your love for baking cakes or floral designs or taking pictures. I have a student right now who's 68 who learned how to use her cell phone to take pictures of a lake by her house. She has taken those pictures and now she's selling calendars and cards. And what else is she selling? Oh, canvas pieces. She put it on canvas. She's just taken something that she found by accident that she loved to do, and she turned that into a business.
Even recognizing what you love is a stumbling block for some, right? Because as midlife women, we're not used to putting ourselves first and investing in ourselves, with time and money, not just money. And so to even recognize and honor what it is that you like, for that student of yours to recognize that, wow, there's something about these lakes and photography that's lighting me up in a way that's very different from taking pictures of flowers or taking pictures of people or whatever, right?
And it doesn't even matter how old you are. People say, well, I'm just too old to start a business. You're never too old to start a business. You know how many people I know have retired and then went back to work because they were bored. They wish they had, something that they could do. So you're never too old to start a business. I've got another student who, get this one, 81 years old. And she calls me up and she says, she sees me online. She says, Cheryl, I need you to help me. She said, I need you to help me quit my job. And I'm thinking, 81, you work? What are you doing? And she said, I am actually working at a nursing home, taking care of people younger than me. And I can't do this anymore. It's just hard for me to do. And I need to figure out a way to supplement my Social Security, but I have to work because I can't afford to live on my Social Security. And after talking to her, come to find out she loved to paint on canvas. And she sent me some pictures that she did. And I'm like, they're beautiful. And I said, why don't you sell these? She said, I don't know how. So I said, let me show you how. And you know who her first client was?
Who?
The nursing home. They bought. So 3 months later, she ended up quitting that job because she figured out how she can go around town and start selling her pictures. And now she's getting ready to sell them online as well because she's trying to figure out at 81 years old how to use social media. And I'm teaching her how to do that online. So she's having a blast with it. She got to quit her job at 81. And now she can just kind of sit home and do the thing that she loves to do.
Oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful story. Okay, so you figured it out. You're helping other women figure things out and leverage their passion. Now, in midlife, it's not all lollipops and daisies.
Yeah.
And so if you could talk a little bit about what midlife challenges you face and what might be getting in the way sometimes of you running your business the way you want to.
Some of the challenges I have, and even though my kids are all gone, they're grown up, married, grandkids, they don't live near me. And I would say the challenge I have, and I find myself working too much. I will be the first to admit to that. I'm always, because kids aren't around, what else am I going to do, right? So I find that as a challenge sometimes to step away from it. But then also my biggest challenge is stepping away so I can go spend time with the kids. So I've learned to say, I got to stop because I need to spend more time with them. And I all I have to do is drive 3 hours one way or 4 hours the other way. I'll hop a plane and that's all I can do. So I literally cut out time now to do that because I found myself saying, I can't, I got a launch coming up. Oh, I can't because I got, this going on or whatever. And that was my biggest challenge is just stepping away and letting things go and just, go spend time with the ones I love. And I think that's really important to do. So I wouldn't say challenge as far as social media goes because it changes constantly.
Yeah.
Now, when I first started, that was my challenge like everyone else. I didn't know social media. I don't know tech. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. Tech gives me anxiety. I don't do a lot of it. I hire it out. I mean, I do some of the smaller stuff. I don't build a website. I don't do all the opt-ins, all the stuff that we have to do. I don't do any of that stuff. I have a virtual assistant who I learned to delegate to. I learned if that gives me anxiety and stress, I'm going to hire someone else to do it that loves to do it.
And isn't it interesting that some people love to do what we hate? I found once I got a bookkeeper that was really a good fit. I'm like, wow, you like this, right? And she goes, oh yeah, it's like a puzzle. Like, wow.
I know, right? Bookkeeping of all things. And that's another thing I don't want doing. Nothing to do with numbers or technology. Now I'll get on Canva and I'll make pretty pictures and I'll do some of the techie stuff. This new AI thing, I'll do that. But I don't do like the back end of a website.
Right.
I no idea how to do that. So here's the deal. You just hire someone to do it for you. It's so much easier. So while you're off doing your thing and making your money, you're making money to go pay them to do the thing you don't like to do. And I say there is so much opportunity for women out there. They just don't realize that they're sitting on a gold mine. Women are sitting on gold mines and they don't even realize that little thing that you think is little, like, oh, I'm just painting. I'm just making pretty pictures. I'm just doing, floral arrangements. People want to learn that stuff. People want to buy those things from you. So, get out there and make it happen. You're going to find yourself not only supplementing your income or your Social Security, you're going to make exceedingly over that and way more than if you're working at the mall, standing on your feet all day. You know what I mean? Because I see this all the time. And I talk to women who say, I just have to stand on my feet all day. I'm standing in the mall. I'm making minimum wage, or they're, a greeter now at Walmart because that's the only job they can get because nobody's going to hire them when they're 50 and 60. So,
Well, so you mentioned ageism, and that was the next question I wanted to ask you. What have you noticed about being, this age and being an entrepreneur?
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have it any other way. There is no way on this side of heaven I want to go back to corporate America ever. Once you get a taste of entrepreneurship and having your own business and building your own dreams, you're never going to want to go back. And I will promise anyone listening, you can make so much more money just doing that one thing that you love to do instead of having to go take a job that, people are not paying you what you're worth and then having to still work nights and weekends, working the holidays while your family's all, sitting down Thanksgiving meal. I hear this all the time. So I can't go to Thanksgiving because I got to work.
It's crazy. And that is certainly flexibility is what women want.
It
It does. I know it is so sad, but it can be so overwhelming because like you said, when we grew up, like having a calculator was a big deal and things have really, really changed. And I remember so well, using a typewriter in university. It wasn't until grad school that I had a basic computer, an early Apple. Things have changed so much. And tech is something that can be the thing that stops people because they really have no idea how to make that, how to get over that bridge to I'm painting something or I'm making something with my hand. And now there's some weird online world. So what steps would you recommend to just get more comfortable and obviously hire you, but just to understand what options are out there?
I think first, if you're making something and you're not sure if it's going to go, because it's the first thing that people say, like, well, what if I don't sell it? What if I don't make any money? Take it and just put it up on your Facebook page and show everybody. And if people are saying to you, oh my gosh, that's beautiful, or wow, what a great job, or where can I get that? You have something there that somebody's going to buy from you. So kind of do like a test the waters thing and just put it up on your social media platform and just kind of show it off. Like you're not trying to sell it. You're just saying, look what I made. And you're going to see people come forth and say, that is so beautiful. Where can I buy that? And that's your clue right there, because you could be making so much more money than just, keeping it as a hobby. I see women all the time. It's a hobby. Well, hobbies cost you money. Businesses make you money.
Yeah, that's a nice little distinction.
Right? So if you have a hobby and you want to turn that into a business, I suggest you just take your thing, get up on Facebook and don't worry about social media because everything is teachable, learnable, and if this is even a word, Googleable. So you can Google anything you want, right?
I think you are right about that. You mentioned, when I was asking in the application, I was asking about anything negative that you perceive as negative coming up about your age and showing up as an entrepreneur and being at this stage of life. And you did mention that sometimes, and I've heard this from so many amazing women, sometimes the mindset can play dirty tricks and just be a little negative. How does that show up for you?
It does sometimes, like as far as, as your age, and people are afraid to get on camera saying, because they, oh, I look too old, or I've got, you can see my wrinkles, or I'm a little overweight, or whatever it is. That's a negative mindset. People don't care about the way you look. They don't care about your wrinkles. They don't care about your double chin. They don't care about any of that. What they care about is those beautiful earrings that you're making that they want to buy from you. What they care about is that thing that you're showing them that they want for them. So don't worry about the way you look on camera because listen, all you got to do is get some good lighting. Ladies over 50, an O-ring, maybe some box lighting, and it'll make you look amazing. And not only that, you can do erase things on, certain programs too, but I don't worry about that. I really don't worry about it anymore. I used to let it worry about me and it held me back for so many years. And finally one day I had to say to myself, what's wrong with you? You're holding yourself back from building a business because you're so afraid to get on camera because you're worried about what people are going to think about you. Listen, I'm 65 years old. I'm not supposed to look 20, right?
Well, except if you think you're supposed to look 20. But, the funny thing is, too, that if your ideal client is over 50, we can't see anyway. Like you're making an assumption that we can see. We can't see.
Got our contacts or our glasses on anyway. It's true.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So tell me what you're focusing right now in your business.
Right now, we're focusing on just working with our clients, not really one-on-one, but I have a group setting where I bring a bunch of women in together so you can be around other like-minded women and teaching them how to get started and just to get off that, that struggle bus that they're on and stop being afraid and get out there and start building that business that they've always wanted to do. Because let's face it, we're not getting any younger. So you
That's
don't want
true.
to keep waiting, right? So
Time is flying.
it is, right? So yeah, don't keep holding that off because you're missing the boat and you're probably sitting on a gold mine and don't even realize it.
Well, there for sure, most people don't realize it because the other thing to get your head around is being an entrepreneur. Like, even if there wasn't all the tech to worry about and to be intimidated by and to pull back from, there's this idea of generating your own money. And the terminology I always hear is asking people for money.
Yeah.
Like not appreciating what a sale really is and how somebody's only buying it if they want it and that you don't need to be slimy and icky about it, which I think you were getting at by just posting something on Facebook and just showing people what you're up to.
Yeah. And you don't have to be salesy in your approach. And that's something I actually had to learn too. Believe it or not, I was the same way. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to feel like I'm always trying to push my stuff on people. But there is a way to go about that without being salesy. And we actually teach that in the group too. But just, just be your authentic self. That's all you have to be. And people like that when you're authentic, when you're just you and not trying to be, the business person or you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Be who you are. And then that'll come through and people will see that. And if they love your product, they're going to buy it. So yeah, don't worry about that.
Cheryl, how did you figure that one out? Like, what part of your authentic self were you holding a little bit back?
I think because I come from a corporate world, I always felt like I had to, have on the right attire and the makeup and, the suit and the perfect earrings that matched it. And everything had to be perfect. And I had to stop being perfect. And that's how I was because I came from that corporate background. And it was weird because I'm thinking, okay, now I can get in front of a camera with which I don't have on today, but, a t-shirt if I wanted to, so just be yourself. If you're the type of person that just likes to wear a t-shirt and jeans, then just wear the t-shirt and jeans. You don't have to wear the suit, and the pretty earrings and all the jewelry and all the things. You just have to be you and show up as you. And that's it. I mean, it took me a while to get past that. And then when I started doing it, it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. I don't even have to worry about I would spend like an hour trying to figure out what I was going to wear.
Oh, wow. I'm having a little flashback. Like the thing I was hung up on was not saying something stupid. And I thought that I laughed a lot, which I do. I'm silly. I laugh. And so what I started to see in iTunes reviews for the podcast is people loved it. They thought that it made me very approachable and it was a way to make a scary topic. And we deal with lots of scary topics in aging and mindfulness about aging. It just made it a little bit more accessible. So when I finally caught on, I'm like seeing person after person comment on this. I'm like, oh, I guess it's okay to laugh. I guess it's okay to be a little goofy, to be a little silly and still be reputable and still help people and still offer great information that helps them move their life forward the way they want to, right? But it was slow for me too, because I kept thinking, oh, what are those corporate people going to think? And the people that knew me when I worked there, and are they going to respect this approach? Because it's very different. But yeah, when you're really trying to understand how to communicate well with the people you're trying to serve, they may not be those people.
Right. And they're never your client anyway. I hear this from people all the time. They say, well, what are my friends going to think? And what are my family? Who cares what they think? They're not the ones paying your bills.
Right.
And they're not your customer because they're always used to giving everything to them for free. So they're not even a customer of yours. So stop worrying about your family and your friends and what they think about you. They're not paying your bills. You pay your bills and it's your responsibility to get out there and do what you do best and don't worry about them. And here's what I tell people all the time. If somebody sends you a nasty message on social media, you don't even know them. Who cares? So here's what you do. There's what they call a mute and a delete. You delete. Bye. That's it. Just let them go.
But even bringing that up to somebody who's not familiar is so helpful.
Yeah, just delete them or mute them or whatever. And if it's family, you can actually hide them without them even knowing on Facebook, by the way. So if they're being really ugly, because sometimes family does stuff like that, right? Just go in and hide their posts or hide them completely.
Yeah, you still have the power over your profile. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, Cheryl, there's been so much good stuff here. How can people best get in touch with you?
Well, you can go to CherylPhan.com or you can go
And
to my website.
can you spell that? Because I think I
Oh,
even pronounced it wrong at the beginning.
yeah, it's fine. Actually, it's a Vietnamese last name, and I am not Vietnamese. I'm American, but my ex-husband is from Saigon, Vietnam. But my last name, so it's Cheryl, Cheryl, and then P is in Paul, H is in Harry, AN is in Nancy.com. So CherylPhan.com. That's it. Just my name.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think I said fan. Sorry about that.
That's what everybody does. I answer to everything. So.
Okay. And that's great. So that's your website. And then on social, where are you? Where do you like to hang out the most?
Instagram. You can find me at CherylPhan1 on Instagram.
Amazing.
And, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. It was really great getting to know you and just to hear that story, which is just a beautiful story. It was so organic. And the way you have grown over the years and the way you help people, because everybody has something they like, but just figuring out how to harness it and do more of it, that's a beautiful way to move forward.
And that's why I like helping women 50 plus, because I know what they're going through. I've been through it. I've been, discriminated about and, hard to find a job and the whole thing. So that's why I love working with women 50 plus. And
very empowering. It's so good. All right. That is it for now. If you're listening and loving what you hear, please like and subscribe. Reviews are great too and much appreciated. And if you're a woman in the middle who's 50 or over and an entrepreneur and would also like to come on the show, please go to www.midlifeinterviews.com and fill out an application. We'd love to have you on to share your story. Thanks so much for listening. It's never too late for you to put yourself on your agenda. I'm Suzy Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, real quick before we say goodbye, if you are connecting with this show, I'd love to invite you to a happiness breakthrough coaching session. It's my laser-focused coaching call that will help you get clear about what's getting in your way as a woman in the middle entrepreneur and confident about your next steps to more happiness in your next chapter. Head over to www.nextchapterbreakthrough.com. Talk to you soon.